Hello, Tony Guerrero.
Yes, hi, Millie.
Hi.
How are you?
Well, it's a tough time, huh?
It's a crazy time.
Where are you?
I'm in Orange County.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter's coming here soon, so let's talk. I was gonna call, and actually, I had your name in front of me earlier to call you today. So, what should we talk about?
Can you tell me a little bit about how you met Beverly?
Gosh, it was in this was in the 50s in
Right.
Greenwich Village, and it was a very special, amazing place. It's never been like that again. I don't know if you know what Greenwich Village was like then, with all the artists and the musicians and the poets and the writers. Every Sunday they all went up to Washington Square Park, and it was just a place where it was a very elite, laid back community.
Right.
Does it make sense to you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've read quite a bit about it.
It was quite an amazing place, and you go to the park on Sunday, and you'd meet the most interesting people maybe you'll ever meet in your life, writers and people like that, musicians.
Right, right.
And that's where I met Beverly. She was dating. I had a friend named Anatole Brilliard. He was a writer, and he eventually worked for the New York Times book reviews. But he was a writer, and he lived in the village. I dated him for a while, and Beverly was going out with someone named Milton Klonsky.
Right.
Did you ever hear about Milton?
I have, just, yeah, through what I know about her story, yes.
Yeah, he was a poet, and Anatole was good friends with Milton, and that's how we met. And Anatole didn't approve of my relationship with Beverly. He thought that Beverly was kind of decadent, which she wasn't really, not with me ever.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
How so?
He used to disapprove of my relationship with Beverly. He actually, I'm going to walk up the stairs if you don't mind.
Sure, sure.
Okay? I'm going to walk up the stairs. There's a friend, Bill Reed. Do you know who Bill Reed is?
I do know who he is, yes.
Did you talk to him?
I did talk to him a bit, and we've actually exchanged quite a bit of information. I know he has quite a bit out there.
Oh, okay. So Bill, let's see. I don't know, I have a couple letters from Bill about Beverly from a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
It's probably the same things he told you.
Probably.
The Japanese. Anyway, Anatole didn't approve of my relationship with Beverly, but I used to get on a train, and when she was maybe playing in Pennsylvania somewhere,
Right.
and I'm walking up the stairs. It's hard.
Yeah, no worries.
And I'm 83 years old, so it's not easy.
Well, you don't sound like it.
Well, I am, but but the thing is that Beverly would she'd play in gigs around town, and my relationship with her was just Beverly was like a really protective sister to me,
Uh-huh.
I mean, once I had the flu, Beverly came over and bought a bottle of scotch, and made me a cup of tea, and poured scotch in it a lot, and said, "Now drink this, go to sleep, and you'll feel better tomorrow." And I did. She was always taking care of me, being sure that nobody. I was much more innocent than Beverly,
Right.
and new to the scene. And she would play music, and I loved her music. I loved jazz, and when I was in high school, I went for a long time with a man named Barry Schaefer. Actually, Barry just died a couple of days ago.
Oh, wow.
He was a jazz saxophone player, and he just introduced me to jazz, and would take me to New York, and he just bring me to see, I don't know who, Charlie Parker, and who were the ones with,
Right.
Billie Holiday, and all those people.
Wow.
Oh God, all the greats.
Right.
And he would I remember one time Teresa Brewer had a song out, something like some pop music called "Put Another Nickel in the Nickelodeon."
Sure, I remember that.
And that thing, and then Barry would say, "How could you listen to that crap? That's not music." And he would always be showing me good music, and he was right. And so at any rate, Barry and I remained friends all his life, and he just died a couple of days ago. Isn't that amazing? In fact, my sister called me last night to tell me
I'm sorry
he had
to hear
had
that.
a stroke, and we had lives, but we were always connected, and he always came to visit and things like that over the years.
Yeah.
My jazz connection.
Yeah.
And Beverly would be playing somewhere, maybe in Pennsylvania, and I would get on a train and go there and listen to her, and just sit in the club and listen to her play. At any rate, I remember one time I was at Milton's with Beverly, and someone called up and said, Anatole's on his way up, and she doesn't approve of Millie and Beverly being friends. So, so we would hide out on the what do you call those things? You climb out the window.
The fire escape?
The fire escape.
Right.
So it was just a special time for me. I had a really wonderful friend that was not complicated and very simple, and I lived with my sister in a one-room apartment in Greenwich Village. I was a model at the time.
Right.
You know that. You knew that?
I did know that, yes.
Yeah, it was a special, wonderful, exciting life because it was easy, and Beverly was my girlfriend, and a lot of people thought we were gay. Excuse me. I've been working all day around here all day. It's pouring rain,
Right.
Is it raining where you are?
It is, yes.
I just came in the house with a big bunch of laundry. But the point is that everyone used to think that Beverly and I were gay, but I wasn't gay. I didn't even know what gay was at that time. I was young, So it didn't matter.
Now, why did Anatole think of her as decadent?
Well, Anatole was from New Orleans. He was let's see, Brouillard. I forget. I don't know. Anatole was just a very experienced New Orleans. He was half black and half white, and he was terrific, and he was smart. And I dated Anatole for a long time because he was smart. I tended towards creative, smart people, and Beverly was one of them, and Anatole was one. Milton Klonsky. I didn't like Milton very much, and I know that Beverly had troubles with Milton, but I didn't. It was just, I don't know why he didn't approve of it. Maybe he was jealous. Who knows?
Huh. Right.
But I was young, and when Milton said that, Anatole's on his way up, hide. It was that kind of stuff. So right. it was just, I guess I have to make the picture. Beverly was more experienced and knew things that I didn't know and never even knew what it was. All I know is that I was a young, innocent, nice person, and Beverly appreciated it. You understand?
Sure. Absolutely.
So she was happy to have me as a friend as opposed to maybe some other, maybe decadent people. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
And so it was a good friendship. When I went to California, finally, when they asked me to star in The Diary of Anne Frank, I had never acted. Beverly was happy for me, but that at that time, a few months afterwards, she committed suicide.
Right.
Did you know that?
I did, yes. And
I was in California when it happened. My sister called me, and she said, Millie, she said, I had bad news about Beverly, and my sister was a couple years older than me, and she lived with me in the apartment in Greenwich Village, but she had a different life. But the thing is that she said Beverly's sister called up and said that Beverly was hurt because you went to California, which is nonsense. Just plain old nonsense. But
right.
The point is that they were very upset and distraught that Beverly had committed suicide. And it really hit me hard. I mean, I used to, when I was young, I was shooting The Diary of Anne Frank then, and I remember I used to think sometimes that Beverly was, I would come home and things would be moved around the apartment. I think Beverly's been touching things around here. She's hanging out all the time. It was just a very special, wonderful friendship. I understand that the Japanese love Beverly. Did you know that?
I did. I know that she has a big cult following there, and she's more widely known than she is here, unfortunately.
I know.
Yeah, and that's part of why I've been so interested in just trying to get more of her story out there.
Well, she and Milton broke up, and he was then. Well, I guess Bill Reed clued you in on some of it, right?
Right. Yes, and she ended up with Mort and Lowenstein.
Mort.
Right.
Yeah. I have a letter from Mort. I wish I had it in front of me. I would read it to you.
Oh.
Doggone it. Why don't you call me back in 10 minutes?
Okay, I'll do that.
And I'll see if I can find it, okay?
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Okay, bye.
Hello.
Hi, was that enough time for you?
Look, has it?
Oh, great.
I have a long letter from Bill Reed. I wonder if you had ever, or an article by Bill Reed. Did you read that article?
I did read that, and he even sent me some stuff he had written on the side also, yeah.
He sent it to you?
He did, yes.
Yeah. Well, let me just, 1 second now here. Okay, 1 second. Everything he says about Beverly is basically intuitively correct.
Okay.
Frankly, you read the one little piece of article he wrote about me in there, a little paragraph.
Yes.
About I have to read this out loud, and then we'll go on.
Okay,
with
sure.
What I have here. It says the veteran pianist Ellis Larkins, who made 2 albums with Beverly, spoke on the phone from retirement in Baltimore. She was very deep. You could sense there was inner trouble. She was a loner, in a way of speaking, as she was. And she never expressed any feelings about how she was feeling. You understand?
Yeah.
I'm saying that. Now, and then the next paragraph is the one about me, and you've obviously heard it, but I just want to read it again.
Sure.
It says, and hear this. From a young woman Beverly befriended, the actress Millie Perkins, who starred as Anne Frank in the film and the play, the film of the play. Beverly was in pain. I said, and this is true, I did say this to him. Beverly, this is true about her, that's why I'm reading it. Quote, Beverly was in pain all the time. Everyday life was difficult for her. You see, she knew things I didn't know. That's me I'm talking about here, you understand? She was the only person who knew who I was inside. She was somehow haunted, and at the same time so kind and so unselfish, with so much patience for other people. She had an amazing awareness of what the human condition was. And that's Beverly. She just did. She knew things, and yet she didn't indulge it. I don't know how to express it, really.
Well, I will say that's the impression I would have of her simply from listening to her music, because she was very young, but there was a depth to her singing and her performance that was beyond those years.
Yes, it was intuitive. It wasn't even that she understood it. Do you understand? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I have a letter from Lowenstein after Beverly died.
Oh, okay.
Should I read it to you?
Yes, please.
It's 1.5 pages, okay?
Okay, sure.
Should I read it?
Absolutely.
Okay, it says, Dear Millie, this will really come to you from out of the blue and from many years ago in the village. I happened to come upon Bill Reed's interview with you in an article on the internet about Beverly, and you were the only one who came even close to getting it right. I know I did, Tony. It's just something there.
Yeah.
Bill, now he goes on, Bill, in his quest to find out why Beverly killed herself, found a lot of people who thought it was because of Milton Klonsky. And I'm saying to you, Millie, it wasn't, which, of course, is not even close. But let me back up and try and explain who I am. I first met you when you went out once or twice with a guy named Joel Bross when you first moved to the village. Shortly after, he went in the Army and left me something he wanted me to drop off for you. Anyhow, Anatole, I'm talking about Anatole Brilliard. Anatole and I were best friends, and over dinner one night at the San Remo, that was a famous place. Did you know about that?
I did, yes.
I told him if he was looking for a challenge. How old are you, Tony, by the way?
I'm 53.
Okay, good. So you're not, okay. Anatole and I were best friends, and over dinner one night at the San Remo, I told him if he was looking for a challenge to give you a call, and the rest is history. Anatole and I remained friends until the end, including renting his barn in Redding, Connecticut, and you were always very special to him. I knew a lot of his girls, but don't recall any on the same level as you in his mind. You might have known me as Bob Davis. It's kind of good. Sven Davison, or my real name, Mort Lowenstein. I had a way back then of assuming identities, but I was the guy that Beverly moved in with when she left Milton. Did you know this?
I did, yes.
It was. So am I telling you anything? Should I continue?
No, please do. Please do.
Okay. It was not easy. She had to call me to go up to her 57th Street apartment and read him the riot act to get him to realize it was over. She's talking about Milton.
Uh-huh.
I recall one night, both you and Beverly were in my apartment on 26 Grove Street, and you may recall Anatole did not approve of you seeing Beverly, as he thought she was a bad influence on you. As fate would have it, he was in the neighborhood and rang the bell and was coming up. That's when the jazz singer and the model ran out in the fire escape and hid until I got rid of him. Or the time Nicky Hilton tracked you down for a date and you told him only if he would take you to the Village Vanguard to hear Beverly sing. And since we were living together then, of course, I was there. Beverly and I had a lot of wonderful times together. She tried suicide once, taking sleeping pills in my bathroom, but I kicked in the door and was able to keep her alive. You know this?
Yes, yes.
You know about this? Oh, okay, I'll go on.
No,
it's
yeah, please do.
It's not much longer. The next day, she was the same old Beverly, happy as a lark, with no idea why she tried it. There's another episode also, but never any reason why. I sent her to a shrink and thought that might help. It didn't. And anyhow, this is more than you ever want to know, but it was good to hear your words and know you really were her friend. I got a note the day of her suicide saying, this had nothing to do with you. I really loved you. Please see that I'm cremated. Bye. Love, BK. I was devastated. I have written a story about our relationship, and if you care to read it, let me know. Other than that, I hope this finds you happy and in good health. The best, Bob Sven Mort Lowenstein. I never, and it says Bill Reed sends his best. I've never read what he suggested. I contact him and read. I didn't. Have you ever read it?
No, I don't think so.
He says, I've written a story about our relationship. So.
You know what? I'm wrong. I do have a copy of that. Yes. Now that I remember, it's not very long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what Mort did was he wrote a book that was sort of every chapter was about a different girlfriend from his life, and so there's a section about Beverly. But I find it interesting that I don't think I had heard that note that Beverly wrote him.
Oh. Mhm.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. Should I read it again?
Yes, please.
It says. Should I read just start from anyway? Anyhow, this is more than you ever want to know. I got a note the day of her suicide saying, quote, this had nothing to do with you. I really loved you. Please see that I'm cremated, unquote. Wow. Bye. Love, BK.
Wow.
So that was that.
I have an album in my collection that she signed for Mort. It was a gift to him.
Oh yeah, what's it called?
It's a King Pleasure album.
I don't know. I have some here. I can look them. I look for them and read them to you, but.
Oh really? Yeah.
You know, but
Wow.
I have it. I have this article by Bill Reed.
Right.
Positively 8th Street. There's two things I have from Bill Reed. It's the letter from Bill Reed. I'm writing to you about a possible magazine interview regarding Beverly Kenney. I became aware of your friendship with her through Jonathan Schwartz's excellent BK profile in a 1993 issue of GQ. Did you ever see that?
I did see that, yes.
And I'm a journalist who writes extensively in Japan, more than 4 decades. You heard this?
Yes.
Should I read this or not?
No, that's okay. I'm definitely familiar with Bill.
So should I read on it or not? He says,
go ahead,
this is a letter he wrote to me. More than 4 decades after Kenney's death, she continues to be an extraordinarily popular singer in Japan. There is a simple explanation for this. Though Beverly Kenney left behind a musical legacy of only 6 albums, they are of such quality that the Japanese simply refuse to let them go. They have remained in print over the years in Japan, and there are many dozens of websites devoted or related to her in that country. If you're kind enough to give me an interview, and especially interested in talking about her aspirations as a poet, her feelings about a career in music with commercial considerations, and memories of your friendship with Beverly. The latter was only briefly alluded to in Schwartz's article, obviously because of space considerations. The profile I wish to write would appear in one of the several Japanese magazine publications for which I currently write. Excuse me, I'm going to cough for a second. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, in addition to my journalist in Japan, he talks about other things that there. Okay, now, then he sent me printouts of girl singer Beverly Kenney lived to be the jazz life and loved it, but she came undone by Jonathan Schwartz. You have that?
I do have that, yes.
And that's what this is. And it's all about her, so you don't,
yes.
It's not all about her, but you've read it, so you don't need me to read that.
Right, I have that, yeah.
She loved jazz and the smoky little rooms where the tunes got played, and that's where he wrote that thing about me.
Right.
And it was great. I loved her music.
Yeah.
So what can I say? I did, and I just, I had a very, I don't know how to say it. I had a very clean friend, a friend that there was nothing complicated about it. It was an easygoing friendship. I was modeling, I was growing up and learning about life, and Beverly never interfered with it. We just saw each other and I didn't even know she drank, that there was some inference there that she drank so much in one of these things, and I knew she drank when she brought me the scotch and everything, but we never drank a lot together or anything like that, you know? She was just my friend. I don't know, I felt like I could say she was protective, and yet she was happy to be there, you know?
Sure. What kind of things, when you got together, what kind of things would you do together?
We just would go and eat and listen to music. That she would show me some good musicians, yeah. or we'd go to a movie. We did really. Yeah. It was very simple. Right. I'm looking for something here in one of these things he wrote. Oh, I don't know. Why did he send this to me? It's all about Greenwich Village and how great it was. You don't need that. The 8th Street bookstore. You don't. Are you aware of how great the Village was in those days? It never came back.
Yeah, I'm certainly aware. I'm pretty well versed in history and jazz history and New York, and so I'm very familiar with it. Obviously, I didn't get to experience, but I do know quite a bit about it.
Right.
It
was the best time. It was, it was before the hippies, and it was before everything. It was the best place to go on a Sunday and read the newspapers and talk to people. It was an honest place of creativity, but no one visited on you. You just were with people that were that way, you know?
Right.
It was just beautiful. I'll never forget it. It gave so much to me. So,
well, it gave a lot to the world, actually. A lot of great things came out of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I guess really I haven't told you anything you don't know.
Well, no, it's definitely been very helpful to talk. I have one more question I was going to ask you, which is...
Sure, anything you want.
There are very few photos of Beverly out there, and I read somewhere she didn't like to be photographed, but I was just curious if you have any photos of her with you two together.
No. I really don't. Perhaps I have a great big trunk of those years, and I might have something in a trunk, but God knows it's in the garage, and I'd have to get it out, and I'd have to go through hundreds and hundreds of
Sure. Oh, no,
things
that's okay.
from that period. I don't know. Maybe there is something. I picture Beverly that the picture that Jonathan Schwartz had in his article. You have those?
I do, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I've tried to do over the last year or so, I'll tell you, I'm a jazz trumpet player, and I've worked for many years in L.A. and toured and all of that. And for some reason, I had never really heard her until last year. And I was driving.
Really?
Yeah, and I was driving somewhere, and she came on the radio, and I had to pull over. I was so captivated by her.
Well, it's amazing. My granddaughter, who's a freshman at Barnard, and she they closed the school, and she had to come home. Right. And I met her new boyfriend, and he's in music. And he's very nice. I liked him. Somebody, a boy named Julian or something. And he had just discovered Beverly Kenney.
Oh,
and
wow.
he was so thrilled to meet and find out that I knew her. That's what she does to people.
Yeah, it's the few people I've met who are familiar with her all have the same impression, and we can't figure out why she isn't more widely known. But that's one of the things I have done over the last year is I tried to gather all this information about her and finally do a website dedicated just to her, and it's beverlykenney.com, where I'm trying to gather every bit of information that I can and every photograph, and I actually was able to even speak to her niece in New York and get a little bit of family information there. So I think I've gathered just about everything that's available, other than something they might have in Japan that I don't have, but...
I always, it's funny. I'm 83. I get the Diary of Anne Frank was my first movie. It's a classic. I get invited all over the world still.
Yeah.
To show up for people that are showing the movie.
Right.
Never to Japan, but I would think that if if they wanted to, they could call me and ask me. They would ask me to come because of Beverly, but not because of the diary.
Interesting.
That's what I feel about from what I've heard. You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, well, they are very avid fans, and about anything that they like. I mean, that's been my experience with being a musician there, and
isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And my friend Barry, who just died, he was a jazz saxophone player.
Yeah.
All through high school, he taught me about music.
Oh yeah.
I wish I could help you more. I'd have to. Oh God, if I ever get into that suitcase, my whole life is in this giant metal suitcase trunk. It's
Wow.
not a suitcase; it's a trunk. And starting from the modeling to all the acting stuff and the diary mostly. But oh God, it's filled with stuff. I never even want to look in it.
Well,
I feel like if I open it up, ghosts will fly out.
well,
But,
you've had a pretty great career. It'd be great to see all that stuff someday and see it all
I
organized.
can let my grandkids look at it.
Yeah.
I have a grandson who was supposed to graduate from NYU this spring, but then they closed the school and he's not going to have the graduation.
Oh right.
But he's so great. I'm lucky.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Beverly, I had no girlfriends in New York. I only had my sister Lulu, who was 2 years older than me, and a very good Catholic and a lovely person, but it wasn't my kind of person, although we got along swell because we lived in one-room apartment together, you know?
Yeah.
But she was working for a magazine and I was modeling. But Beverly was the only friend that I had in New York and the only friend I even wanted in New York. It was just so wonderful to have her bringing me around, not trying to show me the ropes, but seeing them because of her.
Right.
I don't know exactly how to say it, but as I say, I was innocent, and she knew it, and she didn't take advantage of it. She just wanted to be around it, you know?
Yeah.
I was pure. I was kind of pure. So, what can I say?
Well,
I don't know. I don't know what to say. Although I'll and the funny thing was, about 5 days ago, my granddaughter's new boyfriend, who's around her age, she's a freshman in college, has discovered, he's a musician and he's just discovered Beverly Kenney.
Yeah.
And he was so thrilled to know to meet me because he found out that I knew her, you know?
Right, sure.
Isn't that something?
Oh, that's incredible.
He's a young person.
Yeah. Well, please let him know he can look at beverlykenney.com now and hopefully get all the information he can there from her.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
But Tony, if I find anything else, if you want to think of anything to ask me, I must say this. When Beverly committed suicide, I was enmeshed in the shooting of the Diary of Anne Frank. Never had acted before, working with George Stevens, the great director. So it was a whole new life for me. And I know that Beverly missed me. I didn't know it then, but I see now what it meant to her, you know?
Right.
And I remember, as I say, I used to come home from work and from the studio, and I'd see something different in a different place, and I think, God damn it, Beverly did that, or Beverly was moving things around this apartment, and I remember I used to talk to Beverly, and I said, Beverly, I know you're unhappy and you miss me, and that you'd like me to join you, but I can't. I'm busy, you know, and it was quite effective on me. And then my sister called me and said that her sister said that Beverly was distraught because I went to California, and they tried to make me feel a little guilty, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I never met her sister, so I have no idea what they were like.
Well, I guess my last question really would be sort of about that. At the time you found out about her suicide, did it surprise you, or what did you think that the reason was that she ended up doing that?
I was not surprised. Beverly was a very private, but Beverly was very deep, and it didn't express itself except maybe in her music. But Beverly was the kind of person that felt things very deeply, and in a way, she was very lonely. You know, she was very alone as a human being, and she had relationships, but she was alone. I don't know exactly how to say it, but there was a sadness in Beverly. or a fatalistic attitude towards life in Beverly.
Huh.
And she wasn't. She doesn't walk around unhappy with sadness on her face, but she didn't walk around, and she could show great pleasure in things that were laugh and at things that we did or things she saw, but it was always with this feeling that she wasn't part of it. She was never part of anything or anybody. I don't know exactly how to say it. I don't know if it's getting through to you, but
I think so.
She had such a deep melancholy inside her, and I don't think it related to anything that was going on in her life. It was who she was. You see? Interesting.
Yeah. Yes, because there's so much speculation about whether it had to do with a relationship or.
No.
Yeah.
No, she was happy to be rid of Milton, too.
Yeah.
It was, and when she was with Mort Lowenstein, she didn't do it to hurt Mort. She did it because she just was ready and had to do it in her life, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just looking for this thing. Don't go away. Wait a second.
No.
I'm holding you up.
No.
You know, when I said in this little piece, when I read it, I was going through papers in my room, and I found this about Bill Reed and all this stuff, and I thought, when I read it, I thought, I'm the one that said the most truth about Beverly. Everyday life was difficult for her. I don't think it had to do with any specific thing. It was like who she was born as. And I say, you see, she knew things I didn't know. She was the only person who knew who I was inside. She was that way about everybody. She was somehow haunted, and I know she was, Tony.
Yeah.
And at the same time, so kind and so unselfish. She didn't blame anybody for what she was feeling. She was feeling it.
Right.
With so much patience for other people, she had an amazing awareness of what the human condition really was, and that was Beverly. And I'm telling you that it was Beverly.
Right.
So
well,
there was a depth to Beverly that we can't really find anymore, you know?
Right. Well,
so there. I'm making it so romantic, but that's Beverly.
Yeah.
I love it. The other song she used to sing, the song she sang, I never have seen snow, but all at once I know nothing will ever be. Nothing can ever be as beautiful as my love is, like my love is to me. That's Beverly. Do you know that song she sang?
I do.
It's in one of her albums.
I do.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for just giving me this time with you. It's just what an honor to speak with you, and I just
sweet, thank you.
I just really appreciate it.
So, what are you doing now? What are you doing with this?
I just wanted to use it for one of the things I'm working on is I'm putting together just a short, few-minute little. I don't want to say documentary, but it's just going to be a 5-minute little video on her life. There's nothing really like that that's on the internet. And so I wanted to use just some of what you say as, just as part of the narration with it.
Anything you want to use, I don't mind. Okay. Whatever.
All right, terrific.
But even the part when I remember somebody said to me, "Well, you and Beverly were gay, right?" I didn't even know what gay was in those days. And Beverly, she loved me, and I loved her, but it was pure. It wasn't. I'm not that being gay isn't pure. It's just that that's human. But I wasn't gay with Beverly. We were just all kind. She was just amazing, and I guess if I was kind of a person, I would say it affected this in my life or that in my life. It wasn't. I met these kinds of people because of the kind of person that I was, and I was protected by who I was, and Beverly somehow protected me.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
She was great. Just great. And I never have one bad thought of what Beverly was, ever.
Yeah.
Even when she gave me the scotch and knocked me out.
I'll have to try that recipe next time.
Well, I had the flu. I was so sick and I had a fever, and I felt my body hurt so bad. And Beverly came over, put a big shot of scotch in a small cup of tea, and said, "Drink this, you'll feel great tomorrow." And it was true. So that was it was a miracle to me. Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much. I hope you're doing okay in the current situation.
I'm all right.
And
it's horrible.
Yeah.
Are you doing okay?
Well, I'm doing okay. I have 2 kids who are at home, and they're kind of bouncing off the walls. But
oh boy, right.
Yeah.
I have grandchildren, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, call me anytime you want to, run by anything. Okay.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I had this giant article from Bill Reed. I don't even know if you'd want to read it because it's not really about Beverly. It's about the time.
Oh, okay. I've sure read a lot of his work. I'm not sure if I read that, but he had so much of it posted online. I probably have at one point. Yeah.
I don't know. Is he around still?
He is around, yeah.
This is called Positively 8th Street by Bill Reed.
Okay, I'll look that up.
Look it up. It's not. It's a big, many pages. It's like, God only knows how many pages. There's a lot of pages in there.
Right. Huh.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'd love to read it. It brings back a great time of my life. It was a learning time, and I was lucky to have it. Yeah. Okay. Even Anatole. All right.
All right. Well, you take care, and I hope to speak to you again.
Yeah, and you take care, too. Be careful with your little babies.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.